Just for a moment, I'd like you to imagine that there's a different way, a better way, a way for you to accomplish more, a way for you to attract more wealth and more success into your life, a way for you to contribute more. Hello and welcome. I'm Sean Chuchuk. If you've ever wondered why for some it appears so easy and for others a struggle, if you've ever asked yourself how you could experience different and improved results in your life, career, and business, and how you can accomplish this in less time, I invite you to invest the next 60 plus minutes in you. This could be the most important hour of your life. What is service and why should it be a focus?
Let's talk about service today. So service, I think, is a portion of selling. In fact, I think that's what you do when you sell.
Service is the opportunity to receive, from the abundance of the universe and then to go and make a difference with the abundance that you've received.
Service means the act of helping others. In this world today, everything is about service. For example, take the housing market. If we didn't have contractors building houses, we wouldn't have a house to live in. If we didn't have lenders providing a service, we wouldn't be able to finance that house. So everything we do is a service to others, so we shouldn't take that for granted. When we provide great service, that's when we provide values to other people.
Service is our ability to give back. Service is how we contribute. It's how we serve, support, and add value.
So when you meet someone, explore how you can be of benefit to them. How can you serve them? How can you be creative and think of ways that help them in all aspects of their life?
Service is the most important thing that you do with any interaction you have. What do I mean by that? Well, every interaction, everything you do should have a goal. And service is that goal.
Service is helping others, thinking about other people and trying to figure out ways to help them. And service plays a big role in your health. It actually has a calming effect on you. It actually probably makes you live longer as well.
I think service is key to anyone's success, regardless of what you're doing in business or life. I think if you're not serving other people, you're not essentially serving yourself. And I think you raise people higher by serving them, and that can be any number of things. It could be as simple as going to the grocery store and being nice to the checkout lady who's maybe having a bad day, and all of a sudden you turn her day around. It could be you're going to see your coach, and you put them in a great frame of mind as well.
Game changers see service differently. They see service as the ability to meet people's needs before they've actually anticipated them. Think of the best servers that you've ever had at restaurants, the ones that are actually bringing you drink refills before you even requested it.
Many people, actually, I'm going to say the reason why most entrepreneurs are not successful is they have this aversion to selling. And to all credit, very few people teach selling and teach it properly. So I think that when you're selling, you're serving, because if you're really good at what you're doing and you're changing the game for you, right, and for the people that are with you, because I think entrepreneurs change, like they solve problems, they meet needs, they change lives. So you're not selling, you're serving, and I think you owe it to people to get out and serve them with the gifts that you have and make some money and change their life.
Service is important because I'm sure every single expert in this movie is going to say the same thing. It's what everybody wants.
Well, service really fundamentally boils down to the idea of us providing. So this is us, coaches, deliverers, consultants, whatever. Us delivering exactly what it is that our clients need.
It doesn't matter what business you're in, if you're not serving, you're not going to be in business for very long.
Service really now is anticipating what they need or want long before they need or want that thing or your product or service.
To be a game changer, service must focus on what is known as altruism. Altruism is the positive, unselfish regard for the well-being of others.
The key word here is value. The more value being perceived by the receiver, the better the service is, and the happier the receiver becomes. How much value is in that service will determine whether or not A, your client will want that service again, or B, if he will be willing to seek other services being offered. The value that you provide in your service will ultimately determine how successful you will be.
Because if you're not serving somebody, you're not being of service to them. It's everything that we buy, everything that we desire, everything we want is service.
Service is a number of things, but I think it's the best way, especially if you're a business owner, to recession-proof your business.
To me, being of service is about following a calling. It's like you really don't have a choice. There's a mission inside you, and there's a message that you just feel like you have to get out to the world. There's a difference that you really feel that you want to and need to make in the world. So it's almost like you really don't have a choice. So to me, that's what service is about. It's about making the difference in the world that you feel called to make.
Game changer level of focus on service is absolutely critical because it is about invoking that feeling. We all have a unique ability to give somebody a certain feeling.
There's a number of key things that come out of serving others, and I think the more you serve others in any aspect of your life, the more it elevates you and the more that gets you to your goals, your achievements, and all the things that you want to accomplish. So serving others really, truly is the mantra to live by.
When you're fully true to who and what you are, then that abundance just begins to flow. And one of the ways I've described this in the past is, using this concept of a life fit. And when you align with your life fit, all of a sudden, you begin to move into that place of service, and that place of service becomes effective.
There's a very interesting thing about service, especially when your goal is to make a living at it. And really, for me, there's no other job I'd rather have. I don't want a job. I want my job to be to make the difference in the world I feel called to make. And the very interesting thing about that is the more people you help, the more money you make. And the more money you make, the more people you can help.
The ideas of people actually going above and beyond everything. That's how game changers do things differently. They understand what they would need in the exact same circumstance, and they meet those needs before the people actually request them.
Life's about people, and life's about service. And you're creating a network, and it grows exponentially. The people that you can connect with, and then you have a larger resource to connect those others and make their dreams come true.
And service actually gives you a life purpose, and it stimulates areas of the brain that helps you to relieve stress and has a tremendous calming effect on you. And it's actually very healthy.
When you do serve others and you see the results and their appreciation and how you've changed their life, it's amazing.
In my humble opinion, I think far too many coaches, consultants, authors, this sort of expert and guru space fall in the category of when you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. And unfortunately, that doesn't do great service for our clients. But those that get service, which is delivering what the client wants and needs, that's a game changer.
It's what we do to help elevate our clients, our prospects, our friends, our family to new heights.
We were put on this planet to serve others. It's through service that we raise one another higher and higher. Are we focused on what we want or what we don't want?
Game changers see everything completely differently. They're the ones that anticipate the things that they actually want. They're the ones that are striving for higher successes. The ones that are focused on those ultimate goals and those dreams that are so far above and beyond than they could ever imagine. They don't focus on what they don't want. They include and incorporate the things that they do want in their lives.
What I'll always do is I'll stop people and say, what is it that you really and truly want? Most people have no idea because they're focused on what they don't want. I invite you to really get clear on what it is you truly want. What is it that drives you? What motivates you? Because when you're in tune with what you want and you're clear, crystal clear on what you want, The motivation to achieve it is there. The why is there.
Simply listen to the way somebody talks about themselves. Do you often hear them saying, I don't want to be overweight, or I don't want to be poor? That tells you right away, indirectly, they're speaking about and focused on what they don't want.
Typically, people are focused on what they don't want. Game changers focus on what they do want. Now, with that being said, there's this really crazy thing that happens with us, because as we focus on what we do want, we actually get there quicker, and what we do want comes to us quicker. However, the brain sometimes makes this switch where all of a sudden it starts focusing on things we don't want. Now, when that happens, just remember, everyone does it. It's just game changers do it less often, and they stay in that negative zone for less time. That's all it is. It's a continuous progression.
Studies have proven that human beings make unconscious decisions. This is known as unconscious behavior, and that the majority of those decisions are actually dominated by the physical and emotional.
I think most people are focused on what they don't want. And it's a number one thing. I say, what do you want? And they'll go into this whole long conversation about what they don't want. I didn't say or ask you what you don't want.
I've discovered that most people are focused on what they don't want. One of the reasons for that is because of the story that they've told themselves over the whole of their lives. And if you're anything like me, you have a story that wasn't all that great.
After 10 years of practice, I've noticed that the healthcare system really focuses on disease. And I have one question for you. Do we really want to focus on disease and illness? What we need to focus on is health. We need to start accepting responsibility for our health and moving forward.
Where they don't have an awareness of what it is that they really want in their life, so they're focusing on all the things that aren't going right or the things that they don't want, as opposed to the things that they do want. And so I think the biggest key for people is if they can, I call it mind mapping or the mind manual. If you can figure out what your mind manual looks like, then you can start to manifest the things in your life that you do want.
Having more of those thoughts of possibility than lack. Devastating that glass ceiling as opposed to letting it keep you down. That's all it is. But yes, everybody thinks about things they don't want.
I think what really distinguishes successful from not successful is where you put your attention. And the law of attraction and the movie The Secret did a really good job highlighting this. The law of attraction teaches that attention follows results. So if your attention is on what's not working and the problems and the way you don't want the world to be, then that's where you're going to live. That's what's going to happen in your life. It's self-fulfilling.
What we should be doing instead is focusing on the positive things, which is what the successful people do.
Most people focus on what they don't want, and that's a huge mistake. Because the more you focus on what you don't want, the more it's actually attracted to you. It's like a magnet. So even when they're trying to focus on, they want to get out of debt, or they want their life to be better, you have to focus on what you want it to be now.
That dream vacation, that dream house, that dream car, more money. It could be anything. Rather than focusing on all the negative things and why we can't get these things, we should be focusing on how it would feel to have that dream car, how it would feel to be on that dream vacation. Once we start setting our minds on focusing on what we do want, our minds will actually help us find opportunities to get our goals.
It's one of the damnedest things in the universe. Most of the world would like to think that we're moving towards what it is that is most important and significant. The reality is for most human beings, however, to really get things moving, what it takes is one hell of a big stick in a fire. Now, the crappy part is that's not sustainable motivation, which is being motivated by what we're afraid of. At some stage, it's got to shift. But the honest God truth is, if there was one thing that humanity needed to know about itself in terms of us as individuals, is when is the fear-based motivation required, and when is the vision and the mission and the contribution-based motivation required. And if we can distinguish those two things, it leads to this thing called sustainable motivation. Happiness, joy, contribution, unlimited energy. Because the truth is, being motivated by fear is the most expensive motivation on planet Earth, and no one can sustain it forever.
Everything is possible. All money is possible. You can have anything you want. You just have to decide and get really clear what it is you want. The indecision is what's causing the pain. So make some decisions. You can always change your mind. But make some decisions and move towards what it is you want, or even what you think you want to your best knowledge.
The reality is, when you're thinking of something, a big, bright, like a big, hairy, audacious goal, one of these big things you've never done in your life, and immediately, a lot of the times, and it's mainly because of a lack of education, that they start ding, 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 they start hitting your head. And then they're going, no, you can't do it because this. And anytime that happens, just stop and say, yeah, I can do it. And you know why I can do it? Because of this, because of this, because of this. What in your past has helped you get to where you are today? Sometimes that is going to be the catalyst to your future.
So get really clear on what you really and truly want in your life. If I need a big goal, is there anything else I need? For years, we've been told that we need a goal. As a matter of fact, we've been told that we need big goals. And there's truth to that, but we become a little bit deaf to it. It becomes white noise to us. So there's a reality here. A goal is a necessity. A great, big, hairy, audacious goal is important because it drives us, it motivates us. It's what should get us out of bed in the morning.
I'll tell you the biggest game-changing idea that I came across, which is that there is something beyond happily ever after. For years, I focused on helping my clients live happily ever after. And then when I actually achieved that for myself, wow, I'm really happy now. I'm at a place in my life where I really want to be. I've achieved my most important goals. Now what? And what I discovered as a coach is that achieving your goals does not where the journey ends.
It's kind of a loaded question. If you need a big goal, absolutely you need a big goal. I mean, you need something that's going to drive you.
Everyone needs to create their goals. Once you know what you want, then you start planning how to get there, and that's part of your goals.
Everybody knows that we need to have a goal, but there are some missing ingredients that we need to affect within our lives to actually achieve that goal. I have kind of a 4-stage process that I've taught people over the years. It's really simple. It's kind of corny. It's an acrostic around the word ICOP, I-C-O-P. The I stands for inspiration. And of course, inspiration, a goal. Of course, we need that. But I've discovered that that's about 25% of the equation. The C and the O stands for clarification and organization. It's not just enough to have a goal. We need to have that goal clarified, and then we need to organize it. We need to begin to put some structure, some strategy, some planning. We need to bring some partners into the mix so that we're not just out there trying to accomplish this goal completely on our own. Do you know that the world and the universe is full of people who are waiting to partner with you if you simply give them the opportunity? And the P stands for, we all know it, perseverance or perspiration.
If you have a goal, you need to take action. And recent studies have shown that also, on top of taking action, there are several key components that are necessary. And in my field, the healthcare field, I've noticed that there are several things that influence our behaviors. And the number one, in my opinion, is mindset. You need to have the right mindset in order to take action. On top of that, you need the support of your community that will help you, embrace you to move forward.
To me, an aligned goal is one of the most important aspects of living a meaningful life. And I think when I say a meaningful goal, I want to be clear. I'm not talking about keeping up with the Joneses. I'm not talking about pursuing fame for the sake of fame. What I'm going to call a bunch of the ridiculous ego-fed goals. I'm talking about a goal that is in alignment with us heart, mind, and soul.
A big goal is great. It gives a person something to strive towards. But a goal without a plan or action is simply a dream. I could dream all day about being a billionaire or stopping world hunger, but I'm not going to get any closer to being a billionaire or stopping world hunger without a plan or action step.
Most goals that people try and set for themselves are usually small goals. Ones where they can hit it, but they're allowing themselves to play small. Because if they don't hit it, well, it was a big goal. But it's really not. It's perspective.
So I think big, hairy, audacious goals is what everyone should be living by. So when people ask me, is it just about goal setting and strategy? I say, really, if you're going to make a big game change in your life, you got to live a mission way beyond yourself. So my whole mission beyond myself is changing the conversation about money and how we have it abundantly and how we can just attract what we want into our life.
Of course, action and execution are uber important when it comes to achieving our goals. But the one thing missing for most people, and this is one thing that game changers know in addition to action and execution, is knowing our why. Our why is that emotional attachment to why we must achieve that goal. And that's one thing game changers have come to recognize.
Before you're going to be great at anything, you're going to be good at it. And before you're going to be good, you're going to be not half bad. And before you're not half bad, you actually have to go ahead and pursue it and try it. This process is a neurological process called habituation. Habituation is your sensory ability, your brain sensory ability to normalize and actually become accustomed to a perceived negative experience in the environment. It's the same reason why most people fear death more than they fear public speaking. Yet when you look around, there's lots of public speakers out there.
Game changers look at big goals in the idea that they see the entire thing and they break it down into smaller, workable components. Most people will see that big goal and they strive for it. Maybe it was the career of their dreams. Maybe it's that perfect car, that perfect relationship, that perfect house, that perfect place to live. But it becomes overwhelming when you just see the big thing and actually not understand all the little things that need to happen before that. Game changers take those really big goals, they break them down into workable, usable parts. They see, in order to get B, I have to have A first. In order to get to Z, I have to have all of these other pieces well ahead of that awesome goal at the end of the tunnel.
So I think anytime you have a big goal in life that you want to achieve, there's a number of things that have to come into account. But first and foremost, you have to have a vision. Vision's paramount. Without a vision, they say you perish, and that truly is the case. Vision carries you the distance. It carries you the distance when you're trying to achieve your goal and you're running into all sorts of obstacles.
What stops you? What gets in your way? What's that inhibitor that says, you know what, I don't, I can't, I won't?
The thing that's stopped me in the past is just being somewhere I've never been before. That's the very definition of growth, in my opinion. You know, when you're growing and changing, is going somewhere you've never been. Pretty hard to figure out how to get there if you've never been there before.
Share with me, if you would, how this process of working together over the course of the last, and it's been quite some time now, you and I have worked together, how that's impacted you when it comes to you getting out of your own way.
Well, I have no doubt that over enough time, I'll be able to achieve any goal that I want to achieve. I probably will have to stumble about that, and it'll probably take me 4 times as long.
Right.
And you know, working with people like yourself, and having coaches and mentors in my life, it helps me get there faster. Simply because I get to avoid all the landmines that most people trip over when they're trying to grow to wherever that is, if it's a healthier lifestyle, bigger business. Get to avoid those landmines, and plus pick the most efficient path to get there by simply just consulting with, from the person who's done it, and probably done it the wrong way. I believe I've got enough gumption and persistence to get wherever I'm going anyway, but instead of taking 10 years, could I get there in 4 with the help of somebody else? And that's been the big difference for me, is getting out of my own way and thinking that I know how to do something when I really don't.
You need to get really clear on your goal, crystal clear. Focus on it to the exclusion of all outside distractions. And then the missing component for most people is a plan behind the goal to execute. Execution is a missing step. Most people fall down at the action step. You need to have a really clear plan with action steps built in and accountability checkpoints to achieve that goal. That's how you get there, and that's how you get there in less time.
So, to have a big goal, you've got to have coaches, you've got to have mentors, you've got to have what I call R&D. Replicate and duplicate the people who have done it in your life and done it bigger than you, and just follow them. Don't look side by side to the people who have the same results. You're not going to get very far. The people who are out in front are the people you need to be following.
Game changers see it as ultimately getting there, but all the foundational pieces that need to be put in place in order to build that giant pyramid.
You need action steps, strategic action steps that you need to take to get to your goal, and then come up with a whole execution plan around that.
Just think about anything you've ever wanted or earned in your lifetime, whether it was a certain house, a car, a gadget, a level of success. One of the reasons you got that was you understood why you wanted that goal. And then you went out and planned and executed the strategies to get that goal.
Walt Disney always said that all our dreams can come true, as long as we have the courage to pursue them. In our minds, when he talks about having the courage to pursue our dreams, he's really talking about having the courage to take the necessary actions and steps to pursue our goals.
Who should I be listening to?
Game changers look internally first. They ask themselves the really big questions. They go to their coaches, their mentors, the people that they respect, the ones that have already been there, or the ones that already know how to succeed and how to get there. Those are the people they listen to.
You know, the concept of who I should listen to is absolutely essential in our lives. Who we listen to absolutely shapes and transforms almost everything. Who you allow to influence you will have an impact on your daily choices, on your behaviors, and ultimately on every result that you're experiencing within your life.
Well, first and foremost, you should really be listening to your internal self, right? Does this process that I'm about to embark on, does this journey I'm about to embark on, does it fit within me?
I had all the education, I had all the knowledge, but I wasn't necessarily following through. And the key component for me was the community. Having someone else that I needed to be accountable to. I was always accountable to myself, but I was missing that component for the planning and the actually following through and having someone else help me through all this process.
You want to associate with people that are going to elevate you. They're going to take you to the next level. They're going to be encouragers in your life and not life drainers, that I call them, or energy vampires, so to speak, that will come into your life and they'll just take and never give. You want to be around people that inspire you, that enlighten you, that push you that little bit of extra to get to the next level or to get to the next step.
So the people you need to be listening to are the people that are playing the game inside the arena that you want to play. What I find with most people that you're in a coaching space, you're in a real estate space, you're a contractor, you're whatever business you're in, and what happens is that you're sitting on the sideline, you're actually sitting in the bleacher seat watching the players play. If you really want to get big goals, do what you want, listen to the people, you got to get on the playing field, and eventually when you're really good at playing the game, you become the coach.
It's very important that we're aware of who we're listening to and taking counsel from. It's simply just not enough by listening to our friends and our family or other supporters, because they want the best for us, but they also don't want to see us get hurt. Many times that can hold us back more than it helps us.
This is exactly why, in order to be a game changer, you have to seek wise counsel from a coach or a mentor.
And then you should be listening to somebody that's been there before. Somebody that has the know-how, that has the backing, that's been through that situation. See, because if your timeline's here, doing it yourself, you can actually bring your timeline to somewhere around here by doing it with a coach, with a mentor, with somebody that's been there, somebody that has the talent, the ideas, the striving, the knowledge to help you flatten that change curve, if you will.
This is one of the most important things in the universe. And there's actually new science about who you should be surrounding yourself and who you should be listening to. And it's this idea called mirror neurons. And the reality is this, and we've all heard the sort of the platitude of, you are the average of the 5 people that you hang around most. And, and I don't know about you, but over the years, I always kind of thought that's BS. I got what the message was they were trying to send, but it was like, come on. However, there's new science that basically says this. Each of us has, somewhere here inside our brains, has these mirror neurons. And here's what occurs, is that these mirror neurons, without us even trying to do anything, they actually try to map the neural pathway when they see someone solve a problem, when they see someone answer a question, when they see how somebody treats someone else. They are actually in the process of mapping that. So the reality is this, if you want to hang around a bunch of dumbasses who don't have a clue about what is meaningful in their life and in their world, your brain will map that whether you like it or not. However, if you want to actually up-level, this is where coaching, this is where mastermind groups, this is where creating a peer group of people who are moving and shaking quite literally reprograms your brain.
People have to be careful who they're listening to and who they're letting into their inner circle. I've started even thinking that, I have a little permeable membrane and I only allow who I want coming in. And it's hard sometimes. So when you have those negative people, you keep them on the outside. They can say what they want to say, but you keep them at a distance.
Who you listen to would be dependent on who you want to be. If you wanted to be a negative person, then listen to the negative people who say things like, oh, that can't be done, or you need to be born rich. But on the other hand, if you wanted to be successful, then listen to the successful people. These could be anyone from coaches to leaders to even like-minded friends.
You are who you associate with most of the time.
Right. There was a time that I, was just being coached and mentored the whole time. And then there was a day that I became the coach, became the mentor. And guess what? Since I was 17, I have never lived a year without a coach or a mentor in the business space, in the financial space, and just in life. Right? So whatever you want, you've got to find the people who are playing the biggest game and go for it.
Game changers look internally first. They ask themselves the really big questions. They go to their coaches, their mentors, the people that they respect, the ones that have already been there or the ones that already know how to succeed and how to get there. Those are the people they listen to. Everyone else, they listen to all of the other communities, all of the other conversations that are going on behind them. How do you filter that?
Most of us believe that the answer, the solution is somewhere out there. But as a coach, what I've learned is that the answer and solution truly is in here. However, it can be challenging to get in touch with that. And if, as a coach, we tell that to our potential clients, they generally don't want to work with us because they figure, well, wait a minute, I'm hiring you to give me the answers. But the reality is that if the answer doesn't come from inside you, if the answer comes from somebody else, what I've noticed is that there's this little part of you that will resist it. It's kind of like your inner child saying, no, I want to do that myself. And so it has to be from you, it has to be in alignment with your truth. And so the art and science of coaching and how we change people's games is to help them get in touch with who you are and what you want and what's true for you.
I believe that there are three kind of parties or zones where we need to listen. The first is what I'll call congruence. We need to listen to our heart. We need to listen to what's going on inside. I, for years, wasn't listening to what was going on, and it led to a train wreck in my life years ago. And I learned that I needed to slow down and I needed to listen. The second person or group or zone that we need to listen to is our community. And you know what I've discovered is we don't get to choose our family, but we sure do get to choose our community. And I encourage you to find a safe community around you. People who will support you. People who will cheer you on. People who won't, take your goal and your dream and rain on it, but people who will inspire you. They'll support you. When the going gets tough, they'll come alongside of you and strengthen you and support you.
Make sure the people you're hanging out with, make sure the people you're talking to and asking advice and suggestions from have the same goals, objectives, and drive that you do to succeed. Who should I be accountable to?
So who you should be accountable to ultimately is you, and you're personally responsible for all the decisions and all the impact. So if you don't like what's going on in your life, you're the place you got to start looking to what it is that you have to change to attract different people, to attract different goals, to attract really the abundance that's available to you in your life.
As a life coach and as an executive coach, the question of accountability gets asked of me all the time. And I really believe that coaches can hold us accountable, and I believe that the people that we love, the people that we care about, we should invite accountability from those people.
Everyone needs to be accountable, first of all to yourself, that you follow your own moral character, that you are staying on your path that you've created. Don't take other people's paths for you. You decide who you are, and you move forward in that way. The other person that you're accountable to would be your coach.
Every person needs to have a coach to keep them accountable.
A coach is someone you work with, that you walk hand in hand and side by side with, to collapse time frames and to avoid potholes. It's about accomplishing more and doing it in less time because you're working with someone who's been there and can help you get there.
Well, first and foremost, you're accountable to yourself. Here's the thing. You can have all the coaches in the world and you create a big goal for yourself and you do nothing every day to step towards that goal. The reality is you're never going to accomplish it. Is that your coach's fault? No, it's your fault.
If a person was training for a marathon, do you think that you would be listening to people tell them how hard it would be, how much pain it would be, and how impossible it would be for them to finish? Or do you think they'll be listening to people who's done it before?
My fervent belief that personal accountability is an internal game. But we have to have a degree of consciousness for that to actually have the power and the significance and the influence. Now, I think many times when we're talking about accountability, what we're also talking about isn't this internal framing mechanism about how I see the world. It's sometimes just as simple as, who should I be keeping agreements with? And here's the reality, is most human beings are horrible at keeping agreements with self.
So you're accountable first and foremost to yourself. And you know, for every action in life, there's an equal reaction. So you're accountable to yourself, you're accountable to the choices you make in your life, your decisions, how it impacts you personally, how it impacts your family, how it impacts your coworkers.
Who you should be accountable to is who you want to be and the results that you want to achieve. That is your highest accountability. And we need to have a standard for ourselves. And we all need support to achieve that standard. So in the coaching world, we like to call them accountability partners. That we all need support, we all need accountability, but the highest form of accountability is the result to which you want to achieve, and staying laser focused on that and not allowing yourself an out or an exit. And really, it's, in terms of accountability, it's the measurement of success.
Game changers are accountable to the people that really matter in their lives. They're accountable to themselves. They're accountable to their family. They're accountable to their really close friends. And they're accountable to the coach that helps lead them in the direction in order for them to get where they need to go.
And as far as who to be accountable to and how I think and how I get held accountable is coaches. I tell coaches, mentors, people that I absolutely respect and admire, I tell them what I want, and I said, and hold me accountable to that unless we change my decision. And I think a lot of people avoid being coached and mentored because they don't want the accountability.
Your level of accountability equals the level of power, control that you have in your business and life. You see, here's the cold truth about people. Most people will do anything they can to avoid risk and avoid accountability. So if you want to go from where you are now to where you want to get to, you must max bet. You must raise the stakes.
Ultimately, you need to have support. Your mentor is going to do that. Your group of high-level friends is going to do that. And your coach.
But if you're accountable to yourself, so every day you step out and you say, you know what, I'm going to make something of my day. Every day you wake up, probably heard it before, it's a blank canvas. You are the painter that's going to go and paint that masterpiece.
The most important person you need to be accountable to is you. After all, who's most affected by your own success? You. Another person you need to be accountable to is your coach. Your coach has spent a lot of time and effort into helping you reach your goals. What kind of thanks are you giving your coach when time after time again you fail to be accountable?
You want to have this flexible choice of what it is. You know, I was just in a session just recently and someone said, you know, well, what if you don't get it? And I said, get what? You know, just whatever that is, writing a book, you know, any kind of a goal. I said, that's not even in the decision pattern of how I think. So I'm going to have it. I'm going to get it. It's a matter of who's going to be on the team and what the steps are. And again, how am I being led? I'm being led by coaches and mentors, being replicated and duplicated by things that have already been successful. Stop working so hard. The best people that do like the greatest change in work in the world, I think the people who are leading, not doing.
Accountability is interesting. Do you realize that most people are not accountable, never mind to themselves, but to anyone else?
Those are the people that really matter. Those are the opinions that really matter. Because as they said it, be the person that your dog thinks you are. Game changers go into every single day thinking about how they can benefit themselves, benefit everyone around them. They ask their coach for clarity. They bring focus back into their lives in order to know the direction that they need to get to. Their accountability stays with themselves and with only those that are going to help raise them to higher levels.
When you set those goals and objectives, you need to put them out there. You need to write them down, but you need to be accountable. First to yourself, and then to your coach.
Occasionally there will be a person who will lie to themselves and say they can hold themselves accountable. And that will work for at least a little while. That is until life gets in the way and tasks become difficult. And then it becomes very easy to let ourselves off the hook.
Some of you are doing too much work, your head's down and you're focused on what you're doing, which means you're not available to the opportunities and what's around you.
Not only is your coach there to guide you and prevent you from making critical mistakes, your coach is there to help you stay focused on your goals. As your accountability partner, your coach is there to help you, challenge you, question you, and push you to become more.
Strategic accountability is the tool that's going to drive you. It's going to move you from mediocre right off the charts. Accountable to you first, and then accountable to your coach.
What is the missing component?
Oh, it's a great question. For each individual, the missing component is going to be different. I believe the big missing component is understand the education piece that you need. If you're here, and not in a level of this being any better than this, but if you're here and your goal is here from an education level, and you don't choose to educate yourself to get here, that's a massive missing component.
Again, this might be something where I have a little different point of view. I perceive the missing component, and this is what I have done for 30 years with all of my companies. I think the missing component for many people is consciousness. It is the awareness of what makes them tick, why this is important, why is this particular goal significant, what do I think is going to happen for me and who I am and how I'm seen in the world through this process.
Game changers see the missing component as the ability to take those big, audacious goals and break them down into smaller goals. They understand that they need to be measurable, specific, timely. They know that they need to set path accordingly.
The missing component most definitely is action. So many times we wait until the whole thing is perfect. The plan is perfect, strategy is perfect, the resources are there, the partners are there, everything we need is ready to go. And, I discovered in my own life many, many times that that's just not the case.
There's one important component where a lot of people fail and fall short, is that they may take all the action steps of getting a coach, making a plan, making a goal, and having their mantra of what and how they're going to succeed. But you can't do that from the couch with a remote control. You have to take steps, get off the couch, move, and work your way to achieving your goal by the action steps and execution of your plan.
So the biggest thing is take that step. Between action and execution, the biggest thing is actually putting those things into motion. Momentum is the biggest thing that you have going for you in life. And just start taking those baby steps in terms of your goal. Once you have the vision for what your goal looks like, taking those baby steps is not a problem, but you need to start taking them. And don't overthink them. Don't get in the analysis paralysis phase. Procrastination is the biggest thing that inhibits goals.
Game changers clearly realize that to be successful in anything requires connection. Connection with yourself, connection with your team, connection with your boss, connection with your kids, with your wife, that the whole world is connected. And when we focus on that connection and the quality of that connection, our relationships will work, our life will work, our business will work, and we make the world a better place. So changing the game in your life and changing the game in your relationships, it's focusing on connection.
If you choose to educate yourself, but you don't choose to take the action forward, that's another missing component. So you can be very well educated and understand every single step you need to go along the way, and then never take the action. So education and action, those are the missing components.
The missing component for most people is the ability to take action. Most people are serial learners and they go to course after course and do nothing with that knowledge.
So the missing component for most people is lack of clarity. I think the lack of what it is that you truly want, and then your courage to declare it loudly and then be held accountable to it.
The missing component for most is taking action. It's about executing on the goal. Listen, I've talked to people before and they say to me, Sean, I've set great, big, hairy, audacious goals. 3 months later, I talk to them and I say, how are you doing with the goal? And they say, well, what do you mean? I say, well, what are you doing every day to ensure you get there? And they say, oh, I don't know. The missing component is action.
The missing component is belief. Above all else, it's belief in ourselves. It's belief in what we're doing. Most importantly, belief in why we're doing them. But when you combine belief and action times execution, that's the path game changers know leads to any goal that they want to achieve.
The missing component is vision. Vision is what is left over when we fall short of our goals. Without vision, we are simply perishable goods. Without vision, we will fail to persist in the face of conflict. Believing without seeing is living your life with the end in mind. That is vision.
So knowing what you really want and knowing your why, like the mission beyond yourself, is really critical. But having a real strategic plan, and the strategic plans that I find are most valuable and insightful, and really how I do it, is I get a lot of people's opinions. I get them from other coaches, other mentors, and I actually look way outside of my space or category I'm working in just for different thought and thought leading. And I can tell you, I look at people that are older, I look at people younger, and I look at experience, and I get a lot of input. And then I decide. Just in a recent coaching session I was doing with a client, she said, so do I pick, the way you're doing it or the way someone else is doing it? And I said, you got to pick the way that's going to work for you. So the best, most successful planning and accountability is to what it is you want, but it's taking a lot of success. I say success leaves trails everywhere. So pick up the trails and then make your own map that's going to work for you in the integration of your life.
We know that every goal is a learning experience. And when we look at those learning experiences, when we look at the ability to be able to say, I was able to learn something out of all of this. How can I improve on that? That's how game changers make everything different. They understand that there's going to be opportunities when we struggle and fall along the path.
Now, consciousness is an interesting answer to this because, lots of people will put it to a more mechanical process. It's like, well, we've got to have results, we've got to have action steps, we've got to have a structure, we've got to have all of these pieces. And the answer to that question is, hell yes. But through consciousness, we can then feed and fuel something that we call intention. And intention is that passion, that burning desire that will find the step, that will find the structure, that will continue to take not 1, not 2, not 3, not 10, not 100, but whatever number of mechanics or whatever number of actions is necessary to create the result. As an example, I often will use the Thomas Edison and the light bulb piece, is that common knowledge says it was 10,000 different filaments. Now, I want to be really clear about this. I don't believe for a second that it was the structure that was important for him to go through the 10,000. I think it had to be his mindset, his intention. He decided he was going to perfect the light bulb or he was going to die trying, and both were fine, and he was simply going to keep going and find a freaking way. So for me, consciousness and intention, and when those are in place, which your coach can help you with, you'll find a mechanic, you'll find an action step, you'll find a structure, because you cannot let yourself quit.
The missing component is action. It's execution on the action steps of your goal.
Hi, I'm Declan Chuchuk, the youngest coach in the world. It's game changer time. Are you a game changer? Just do it. Just do it.